PRX.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster that slings fresh dolls straight out of the, I don't know where I make the dolls. I do roll them and pat them though, and then I mark them with a D for doll. It's time, but it's also time for, with an S for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, this is another of our summer favorites series requests. This is when Scoots wins an award given by Brainbot. I don't even know where this episode will go. It's been so long since it's come out. But our patrons on Discord and on the Patreon community and just listeners over the years this is one of the top episodes that I get feedback about. I'd love to hear about your favorite episode. Let me know on social media or use the contact page on our show. But yeah, this is another listener favorite. We've got a fresh episode coming out next time, and we're doing tons of fresh, cool stuff as part of Subscriber Summer over on Patreon and an Apple Podcasts. So we got you covered on many different levels, but oh boys, it's a good one. I hope you enjoy it. Hey, everybody, Scoots here. Sleep. The whole purpose of Sleep With Me is not just to put you to sleep, but to let you know that you're not alone in the deep, dark night, to keep you company in the deep, dark night. And I have to ask you, do you feel less alone in the deep, dark night because of the show? And if you say yes, can you do me a favor and either support the show right now or set a reminder in your phone? Can you take a minute or two? And if you're in a position where you can afford to support the show at $5, $10, or $20 a month or support it annually and save a little bit money on your subscription, please don't wait. Set a reminder right now and just ask yourself, does the podcast put me to sleep on a regular basis, or does it make me feel less alone in the deep, dark night? Is the show there for me? Because if you're in a position to support the show, if you can afford to, and that resonates with you, I need you to support the show. I got to get through to this percentage of people that are willing to support the show and can afford to support the show, but are kind of stuck. Either you're falling asleep or you just kind of like a couple people that signed up for this and said, hey, just remind everybody over and over again, set a reminder right now in your phone. Tell your smart speaker, tell your phone, remind me tomorrow at 9 a.m. to go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron and sign up for the show. That not only puts me to sleep, but makes me like less alone in the deep, dark night. That keeps me company because I want it to be there. And I want to be there because I've heard from a lot of people that can't afford to support the show and some people that are just unwilling to do it. But I know the majority of people are out there, and I just got to get through a small percentage of you. That's it. It's a hard task, believe it or not, I guess because the show puts you to sleep. So please take that action. Even if you decide not to support the show, set a reminder anyway and say, hey, this show does keep me company in the deep, dark night. And then go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. But sign up and support the show. I don't want you to miss out on Subscriber Summer, but I don't want us to get to a point where the show cuts back or the show stops coming out just because I didn't reach out and make it clear enough who I'm trying to get a hold of. I'm only trying to get a hold of a small percentage of people that are listening to the show, and you're one of them. If you're not along, you say, hey, yeah, I use this show on a regular basis. I can't afford $10 a month, or I could cancel something, and I just needed that reminder to make a reminder. So make a reminder right now. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, or if you want to support a show on Apple Podcasts, sleepwithmepodcast.com/Apple. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix Sleep. Get over to helixsleep.com/sleep and take the 2-minute quiz to get matched with a mattress. Now, I do have a bit of mattress FOMO. I have the Helix Dusk Luxe, but Helix has a new high-end collection called Helix Elite. And Helix has harnessed their years of extensive mattress expertise to bring their customers an elevated sleep experience. The Helix Elite collection includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for specific sleep positions and firmness preferences. And that sounds amazing, but I don't know, like think about the bed you're in right now. You probably should have FOMO for the bed I'm sleeping in. I took the 2-minute quiz at helixsleep.com/sleep. I got matched with the Helix Dusk, and I picked the Dusk Luxe because I sleep on my side, I sleep on my stomach, I want to sleep cool. And that mattress fits my needs, right? And Helix is an amazing company to work with. Helix supports military, free first responders, teachers, and students by giving them a special discount on site. You take that quiz, you find out what's going to be the best mattress for you. Don't got to go to a store, lie in a bunch of mattresses while somebody's watching you, asking you a bunch of questions. And with Helix, you could order the mattress online. You get easy, no contact delivery. But you already know by taking that Helix quiz, the mattress is going to fit you and your needs, or you and your partner's needs. Take that quiz together, and that way you find the perfect mattress for you. And if you don't want to take my word for it, Helix has over 12,000 five-star reviews. But by supporting Helix, you're supporting me and the show as well, and your good night's sleep. So go get a Helix and thank me later for your best night's sleep. And get this, Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for Sleep With Me listeners. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. This is their best offer yet. It won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time for the Sleepy Supporters, like a Deep Dark United Sleepy Supporter Zone. And I want to thank Jen with 2 N's and Caitlin, still our supporters of the month. They supported Helix Sleep and Poly Sleep separately. Let them know about it. Let me know about it. And you should thank Jen and Caitlin. They are the ones supporting the sponsors that make us possible for us to bring you the show for free. So Caitlin and Jen are the ones making this ad-supported free feed possible. So thank you so much, Jen and Caitlin. If you want to hear your name here on the Sleepy Supporter Zone, check out one of the sponsors. You could take the Helix quiz for free. You could download the ZocDoc app for free. Check out Progressive. Check out those Poly Sleep pillows, Air Doctor, and then let them know about it. Let me know about it. And I can thank you here on the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Use the form at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. That's where you can get all your codes, or set yourself a reminder right now and say, you know what? I do want to be like Jen and Caitlin. I want to hear my name on the show and say, wow, hundreds of thousands of people are benefiting from me supporting these sponsors and letting them know about it. Let me know about it. Love to hear my name on the show, because not only is it cool, I feel great about it. And I hope that Jen and Caitlin, I hope you're hearing this. I hope you know how thankful I am. That's the first part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The second part is you getting the support you need right now. There's links to resources in the show notes, including international resources. It's about being a part of community, being a part of positive change, not just saying Black Lives Matter, not just saying stop AAPI hate, not just saying support Ukraine, but taking action, learning more. There's links to resources in the show notes where you can do that. And what we're doing as a community, and I'd love to send you a thank you video. I'd love to send you a pressed penny. We are supporting the Park Stop fundraiser. You could go to orlandoparkstop.com/charity. Their fundraiser is supporting the Trevor Project. You could support it at any time, though this particular one is running till the end of June. And then again, let me know about it. Let me know you supported that fundraiser. And I have a fun thank you video. You got to fill out the form at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. That way I know to send it to you. But yeah, if you support, if you're generous in your support, I match the first $500 in support. I don't think we've hit that number yet. I'll send you a pressed penny from Ray's collection. So go ahead and do that and let me know about it at Orlando Park Stop fundraiser. Use the link right in our show notes. Mystery Bar. A lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the mystery bar. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your
Thanks, Mystery Bart. Don't forget, the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me is in Sleep With Me merch, sleep phones. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones and use Sleep With Me at checkout to get $5 off your order. And as long as you use that link, you could also get, a different model of sleep phones if you don't want the Sleep With Me swag version. But what do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. Are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble with getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Because it's time for Sleep With Me. Oh, my friends beyond the binary, welcome to the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do... Attempt it. No. I mean, I guess I wholeheartedly... proceed to do, substituting, those are verbs, right? Proceed to do. What I'm going to proceed to do is create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether, it's thoughts, physical feelings, emotions, seasonal stuff, weather stuff, people, family, hello, family, anything related to that. It could be anything. Whatever's keeping you awake, I'd like the honor of taking your mind off of it. I'm going to use lulling, soothing tones, a little bit of a creaky dulcet, since I record 5 or 6 times a week to get these 3 episodes out. But, also to just try to go slow. That's another thing. Consistent. I'll be here consistently 3 times a week. But I'm going to use pointless meanders. Thinking up stuff on the spot. That's one. But what do they call it when your mind goes blank? You say you're building a podcast around when your mind goes blank. Well, I'd say I'm more building a podcast around when my mind goes blank than when it goes blank. I'll explain that, but let me get back to the new people just in case. Yeah, if you're new here, this is a podcast to take your mind off stuff, put you to sleep. I'll be here an hour. You're under no pressure to fall asleep quickly. You're also under no obligation to listen to me or, engage, be enthralled or, even anything moderate to that. In the structure of the show, it goes, the business stuff, then the opening. The openings are 10 to 12 minutes of me. I'll try to make a metaphor here about mind blinking or something to explain the podcast. Then the story stuff starts, and you can always skip ahead to the story stuff, but a lot of people like this intro. I try to make it a mix of the familiar. I'd say unexpected is definitely not the right word, but, of something new every time. So it takes your mind off stuff. So that part of you, the theory for me, and I'll just put it straight out here. So is that, I call them brainbots. But my theory, one of the things I think is important about this podcast or why I make it 3 times a week and why I put so much work into it is because I think it needs a familiarity. Like once you say, okay, that's my boyfriend, Scoots, I trust, that, he's going to use the lulling, soothing tones to put me to sleep. Versus what else would I use? Versus just not, put me to say, okay, well, I guess that's his only. Yeah, I'm like, I trust that Scoots is going to use those lulling, soothing tones to put me to sleep because that's what. But that they'll consistently be here. But the other part of it is I forgot. I honestly just had a mind blink. I'm not kidding. Live on the spot, mind blinking. While I was trying to explain how the podcast works that I've made, pushing slowly approaching 500 episodes, I think the last one that went out is 470 when I'm recording this. But the mind blanking, what was it? I was going to put it out there for free, open source. Here's how the podcast works. Consistent, but variety. That's what I was going to say. Also, I didn't have to explain what a mind blink was because my mind goes blank, then it blinks back on, kind of like a sign or, a lighting system that only partially works. You say, well, sometimes you say, why do you pee on the floor so much? Well, lights blink in there. So sometimes they're on, I make it in there. When the lights blink out, I miss. That's a metaphor for how my brain works most of the time. And that's that's probably about as apt as you can get. But so that's mind blanking. But so the podcast has a bit of familiarity, like structurally, there's some variety, but you say, okay, that's my boyfriend. But I feel like it has to have enough variety that every episode has to be different. Because it's my thought that these things that keep us up, whether they're thoughts, feelings, or emotions, or a combination. Normally, most of the time, they're a combination of the three. Like maybe your thoughts about your physical feelings, your emotion, or your emotions about your thought. They're melded together a little bit. Is that pastiche of life? I don't know. Mixed up vocabulary is another thing I use. But my thing is, in my dedication to the podcast, it could be a practice in futility, but I don't believe that because I hear from a lot of people that it's helping, and that is such an honor, is that there needs to be enough variety so those parts of you, like I guess that's when I say dignity and respect, friends beyond the binary. It even goes to the individual portions that make up who we are. And there is these parts of us that keep us awake. I call them brainbots. They're scooting. Hey, what about that? Why'd you do that today? You really blew it. Why do you buy premium gas? You don't need premium. And they say, okay, I'm just trying to go to bed right now. And then you could be the other. Why do you buy low octane gas? I thought we were premium gas. And you say, holy cow, I just want to go to bed. And that could be, But those parts, and also, I have been, I think it's 3 years straight, I've won the imaginary award. It doesn't come with a reward. I guess it does, an imaginary award with a reward. In Australia, worldwide Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. I've won that. I've won that award that I made up and pretended, then I gave it to myself, in a fictional series. That's too boring for the podcast, but maybe not. Maybe that's what tonight's episode could be about. Brainbot Entertainment. Maybe that's what tonight's episode will be about. A great idea, Scoots. But what was I going to say? Oh, man, I lost myself there. Oh, variety. That, like, those parts they catch on quick. They're intelligent. Hey, brainbots, I consider you highly intelligent, adaptable in not adaptable in life skills, unfortunately, but you catch on fast. No one's going to pull the wool over your eyes because you're protectors. I just thought of that. Fleet Fox's song from like 8 years ago, Protector. Like the brainbots, they're there to protect us. Now, maybe their protection, no offense, brainbots, is a little misguided or maladapted, I think would be the professional. When I get a look at my charts, I see that everywhere. Maladaptive, maladapted, maladapting. I said, Doc, that's a dance I made up. That's not a problem. Maladapting. It's a new dance I'm working on. Anyway, like those brain parts, those maladaptive parts, whatever you want to do, they're doing their best to protect you. And, they're just not so great at it. So when, and a lot of times we have stuff going on during the day, or the way we've adapted to deal with those maladaptions. Let's not go down that rabbit hole, double adaption. Let's not have an adapt off. Because if we did, we'd have to bust out our adaptive dances. I'm trying to just get, this is what happens with the blank brain. I have a simple point I want to make. This is, I guess, why I do this show. I have a simple point I want to make. This podcast relies on variety, because otherwise those parts, for me at least, and I think for a lot of people who listen to the show, like if you were listening to the same water sounds and the third or fourth night, that part of your brain that kind of harasses you, to use a strong word, says, hey, these are the same water sounds. Anyway, I didn't notice that the last 3 nights. Nice try, Buster Brown. Remember that time you bought those imitation Buster Brown suede shoes? We've talked about, I've humiliated you on the podcast before about it, but you could have got regular Buster Browns, but you got those brown suede shoes with the sneaker bottoms and the Velcro. Yeah, I do remember that. And remember you thought that when the first day of school, that was it. All your problems from the previous 3 or 4 years, for kindergarten, first, second, third grade, those are all going to go away when you stepped off the bus on your new brown suede shoes, sneaker shoes with the Velcro. And that didn't happen, did it? And they say, no, it didn't happen. It did not. Do we want to dig deeper on this, or can I get back to I just wanted you, I want to bring up that memory while you try to fall asleep because, with the water, because those water noises, they don't trick me anymore. But this podcast is not even about tricking. It's about dignity and respect and entertaining. I say, hey, Brainbots, come around. I got a story tonight about Brainbot Entertainer of the Year, maybe. And I'd love to, invite you into this little story circle or story. I prefer an oblong, but since you're Brainbots, maybe right now I've been picturing you like BB-88, but 88 BB, BB-812 or whatever. I made those jokes I try to make every once in a while. But so, I try to mix, get through this. I'm going to get to my job isn't to get to the point. That's the thing. So, and I guess that would be my theory here is while I've been rambling and trying to bring coherence to my, with my blank brain and my incoherent rambles, did it take your mind, were you distracted from whatever might be keeping you awake? But so I just try to put on a different show 3 times a week, and it is a lot of work, maybe 20 hours of labor going to each episode, or 15, I don't know. It depends on the show, I guess. But so, just because I think that those parts of us, they catch on. And ideally, there's another aspect, a human aspect, is I want to, and I guess even to those parts of us, and this is a stretch, but I want to bring some lightness. I want them to, as the song goes, but in a different way. I definitely don't want the brainbots to want me. I just want them to feel want to be like, hey, I realize, on those charts we saw, you were called maladaptive and, they have all these terms for you in that DSVM 5.6 or whatever it is. They got new letters on there, I think. But I know you're doing the best job you can, and it's not easy being a brain. It's just like being a human's not easy. And I know, once it gets quiet in the bedroom, you want to get my attention and tell me, about those fake Buster Brown shoes. And let's just take a breath and listen to the Scoots. I mean, holy cow, he had, think about our problems. He had they were light brown suede shoes with one of those clear gum rubber soles. I mean, they looked like some sort of Chevy Nova shoe with Velcro. So that's why that's why the intros are different every time, and the show is a little bit different, but it's familiar. So you say, okay, I'm here with my boyfriend. I'm going to pour on a little boar giggles for you, and my brain will blank. The goop will leak out through my ears or whatever. And I'll always say, I'm glad you're here. I'll always do my best. I have hits and I have misses. And I try to keep the shows coming out 3 times a week consistently and finding ways to keep that going. Because I've been there in the deep, dark night, unable to sleep and caught up in this, whatever. This is a harsh term, but maladaptive melodrama, which may be a book. So I'd just like to patent that right now. Or trademark it. I forget those 2 things, but, permanently in the permanent record. So, yeah, so that's why I'm glad you're here, because I've been there. And this podcast doesn't work for everybody. I hope it works for you. If it doesn't, give it a few tries. See if it does. Get a lot of reviews that say people that were skeptical or people that didn't like the show at first, they gave it a couple tries and they said, oh, wait a second, I'm not supposed to like it. it's a little bit different than that. And you know, it's like, I guess I'm I don't want to brag on this, but I guess I'm the umami of podcasts. I would like to be, I'd like to officially think of myself, Sleep With Me podcast, the umami of podcasts. I say, okay, what? So that's the main reaction I'm going for. But I'll be here, I'll be here for you. So thanks for coming by, and I really hope and I really yearn to help you fall asleep. Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive helps you compare direct auto rates from a variety of companies so you can find a great one, even if it's not with them. Quote today at Progressive.com to find a rate that works with your budget. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Hey everybody, this is Scootsy here. It's Trending Twitter Tuesday. It's been a while since we've trended troved into the, can you trove? It's a treasure trove. What the heck's a trove? Because you could go, I wanted to trove into the trends on Twitter. I guess to what's a T word to see if there's any troves. But I don't know. I mean, does anybody ever even care about the trove? I'm more interested in the treasure. I could care about the trove. And I can see the common sense out of me is saying trove is the place where the treasure is, Scoots. And I would say, I hear you, but why do you say it's second then? It doesn't make any sense. Once you say treasure, I stop listening, just like Daffy Duck. You said, did you say treasure, Bugs? Like, I didn't hear anything about Pismo Beach or whatever because, did you say treasure? Oh, we were trying to define the word trove, Daffy. Okay, but you said like treasure trove. So trove of treasures. Wait, did you say there's treasures in this trove? Because then I'm in. And I wonder, treasure trove. That's the other thing. Trove's not really, is trove used in anywhere else in diction? Is trove ever used? Hey, okay, here's the challenge to those of you that are listening right now. Let's bring trove back into the what is it called? Somebody get Zaltzman's on those. Can't even pronounce. Somebody get Helen Z on the phone, and let's look into this. Maybe I'll tweet her to see what the troving. No, really, why treasure trove? You'd say, well, where's your, because we talked about the drawer everybody has in their house, or most people. I was calling it the tea drawer because they put all the tea in there the listeners gave me back. It still has tea in there. But before it was a tea drawer, it had old, very, very old, a couple very old things of hot cocoa, hot mustard, Parmesan cheese, and red pepper, probably some duck sauce, and definitely a couple what are those fashion? I just want to call it a fashion cookie, but it's a fortune cookie. Now with fashion, I mean, you could if you, I don't, say it's a fashion cookie now. But you say, well, where's my hot cocoa trove? Or if you had a snack trove, snack drawer where you kept all your snacks at work, would that be your snack trove? I mean, if my definition of trove, then it says, why doesn't people use this trove all the time? It's a lovely word, trove. Get into your trove because I got to put something on the stove, mauve. And off to the, then let's say we'll eat something and then off to the show we'll shove. My love. There you go. You're using the word trove for romance. Well, let me just get into my, nightstand trove, my dear, for a little love, but bada boom. Anyway, I don't know. I get distracted, but that is a nice word, trove. And why isn't it used more? And why am I talking about it? My mind's a trove, trove of senseless information. I guess you could say trove of senseless information. It also leads me like it puts on my rhyming brain, as we just witnessed. Dove. I dove right into this trove. Blofeld, Alove. I guess you have to change some words, or you could get, more grove. That's a good one. You're right. I don't know if that was my left brain or my right brain. Whoever said that was right. So that's trove. I guess I'm nervous because tonight's episode, Trending Twitter Tuesday, where we get into the troves of trends to pull them off the stove because they're fresh trends and that we're about to trove. Oh, that's why, because I want to use it as a verb. I'd like to go, we're troving for story here. Well, we're really not, because this is a behind the scene, I don't know how to call it. I guess behind the awards, because, a lot of times I don't do a lot of bragging on the show. Not really sleepy I guess maybe there is, I don't know. Is that something that puts people to sleep, bragging? Because it's a skill I could use, I could develop it. Not that I don't have an all-consuming ego. I just have one of those giant egos that's negative, which is just as narcissistic and egotistical as having a positive one. But, every once in a while I do have something to brag about other than, a stream of self-criticism that I tune out with a trove of love. Remember Constantinopolovra? That's my favorite made-up name. Helena Constantinopolovra. I think she was a big character in something in the last 30 or 40 episodes. But way back, I was giving her some odes. So, I have a trove of odes. That doesn't rhyme, but that works. No doubt about it. But, once in a while on the show, I like to brag, once or twice a year, whenever I need to give myself this award, Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. And it's 2016, 2015. I don't know what year it was invented. It definitely wasn't invented in 2013. May have been invented in 2014, but I'm not positive. But they did give me a retrospective. They said, well, we'll give you a retrospective award. And then 2017, it's looking great. Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. And, it's an international award, and they do regional award ceremonies within my brain. New Zealand is one of the places. I don't know if anybody heard that interview I did with Brian Crump nights on New Zealand and the national channel in New Zealand. It was one of my favorite interviews. He was cracking me up, and he called me the anti-Crump. And I think we shared a lot of things, things we like to do as kids, talking to microphones and listen to our own voices. But where was I? Oh, it's bragging about Brainbot Entertainer Year. Now, so I wanted to talk a little bit about these awards that are bestowed on me, because you probably brings up questions like, okay, is there monetary compensation? It's pending, they say. Because the Brainbots, they work, like a Brainbot's a bit like it's not the same. I'm trying to think of what night, because the words I would use aren't very bedtime. Like a bit like a being that lives within you and that tries to influence you. It's a Brainbot. So, they can't just give me money, because then you'd say, well, why did, I guess they could influence you to support the show, and that would be my monetary reward. So maybe that's at play. I don't know. I don't, the Brainbots don't tell me those kind of things. But you'd say, okay, let's lay it out. Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. What does that mean? It means I'm the most entertaining person that entertain to Brainbots. Of all the entertainers that entertain Brainbots, this year, the years I've won the awards, I've been Brainbot. I'm the entertainer of the year, where they say, okay, that's it without a doubt. And I guess if this is an interview for my side of it, with Scoots, why do you think you win Brainbot? Other than making it, other than that it's fiction, and within your brain, maybe it's not fiction. I'd say, there you go, doesn't that make me doubly qualified to win? But thanks, Craig. That's a great question, and let me get back to you on this one. Why would I win a Brainbot Entertainer of the Year? Well, that's a question I ask myself every year. Right after I win it, I say, how did this happen again? And I wonder to myself, as it feels, I say, well, how could I possibly once again, in the entire earth and beyond, of all the entertainers that entertain Brainbots, how could I be the entertainer of the year? And Craig, I don't know if I have a great answer for you, but I'll go ahead and try to answer your question for you. One is I try to make something special 3 times a week for the Brainbots. And I think something about the consistency of being there on a regular basis and saying, hey, Brainbots. And usually, it's a lot of times I use something they call subtext, where I pretend, the facade is I'm making this thing for humans. Because Brainbot, the Brainbots are operating at higher and lower levels at the duality of Brainbots. I mean, remember that treaty with the ISE? Is that treaty or treaty? That was something I wrote as a student back when Brainbot theory was in its infancy. And still, we haven't even scratched the surface of getting to know Brainbots, on a scientific level. But I know, as a person with a gut, my gut tells me every day, you've got Brainbots to entertain, my friend. And they're not going to entertain themselves. Well, they do entertain themselves by kicking in their unique mechanism. Like if it's a worrying Brainbot, it'll worry. Okay, Craig, go ahead. I see you got to. Why? Okay, what is it about that? Just tell you more about how do I connect when I'm not a Brainbot? I have so many Brainbots. That's one thing, Craig. I haven't, most of the doctors I've seen, they've been, after a few weeks after I think there's an effect I have on them where they say, well, I'm not practicing anymore. But I do know that I just have is a preponderance, does that word fit this context, Craig? Do you know? Okay, no, you're asking the questions. Okay. I have a lot of Brainbots, more than the average human. And, I think when we surplus, thanks, Craig. And having a surplus of Brainbots, I think just puts me in a position where, where I've spent a lot of time with them. I mean, they talk about 10,000 hours. Now, Craig, I don't want to, burst any bubbles here, but I've said it before. That's 10,000 focused hours. It's not just 10,000 hours. And I'm not sure I've actually spent 10,000 hours. I mean, I've spent hundreds, and I don't know how many hours I've been alive, but I've spent about that many with Brainbots. And when you consider I'm usually having dialogue with 4 or 5, that is a lot of hours, but I don't know how many, most of them I'm trying not to focus, Craig. So I don't know if that's a paradox, I'm focusing more because I'm unfocused. Well, let me take it from a different angle, Craig. I think I identify with the Brainbots. I'm more than a bit like a Brainbots. My attention bops around. And when I hear a Brainbot talking or, communicating by other means, direct memory replay or whatever it could be, I just say, hey, well, that's the truth. I buy right into it. And I say, you're going on a roller coaster with my self-esteem? Let me get on board because I'm going to believe it's the truth. And Craig, something about that has caused me to say, man, because those roller coaster rides aren't like the ones we go on, Craig. Let me tell you. No, nothing like Big Thunder at all. More like big awful. And so after we get off the coaster, I say to the Brainbot, I say, well, that was a terrible ride. Why you're perpetually on that ride? And the Brainbot says, yeah, just it's the best when it's only good when it's on the hill going up. And I say, this is both a metaphor and a truth, Greg, so stick with me. Is it Craig or Greg? You're a figment of my imagination. Oh, boy. Anyway, Craig, when I was speaking to this Brainbot, whose name was Penelope, I believe, it was the Brainbot was saying, no, just stick with this story, Craig. Don't get distracted. The Brainbot said, well, the hill, the climb is the only part I can possibly tolerate. And I said, well, it's really hard being a Brainbot. You're on this roller coaster. And the only thing that's even tolerable is when it stops at the station and then goes on the uphill climb, but you're still in it. So, man, it must be hard being a Brainbot. And then Brainbots, they have this reputation of just being irritating and maladapted, as we talked about at the top of the show. And, Craig, on that day, I decided to change my life, to change the life, this was kind of like Six Flags, except it had a lot looser. So I just got on, I walked up the stairs for the hill climb of that roller coaster. And I started doing something that probably couldn't be called a show or entertaining by human standards. And something that might not be called funny or, they say, make any sense. And something at a human theme park, gets you in a lot of trouble. But at this Brainbot park, I just stood on the stairs in a safe area. And I started doing a show. First, it was just like thumbs up, eye contact, because there was other Brainbots on this similar coaster. Too hard to explain, Craig, because it's a metaphor, but it really happened too. And then that's how my career as Brainbot entertainer really kicked into. I mean, how many years did I do that? Well, I'm not sure, Craig, because at some point, I had to go someplace. Within my mind, I had to go to another place too. It doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense to you, Craig. Can you please? I don't think I know. I can't do I statements for you, Craig, but. That's my humble beginnings within a Brainbot theme park, within my mind, on a particular ride with a Brainbot named Penelope and some other Brainbots that were on the same ride. I stood on the side of the hill at the one part in the ride that was tolerable, where they were anticipating the rough rides ahead, Craig. And like I said, this wasn't a good roller coaster. And also, Brainbots have Craig. I really need you to put this interview in context, because if you take these out of context, it's not going to make any sense. But Brainbots are really under a delusion of control, even when they're on this roller coaster, just like we are. This is why it's a brilliant metaphor. Only the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year could accidentally come up with. The Brainbots under the delusion they're actually under control and they need to do stuff, even though the track's already laid out and they'll just keep riding the ride over and over. And so then I had to ask myself, Craig, what's the most painful part of the ride? Because if I was in it, would it be the parts that are intolerable, or would it be the part where you're trying to make it tolerable and then you think you're going to have control over it? These poor Brainbots, Craig. And, I couldn't change it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't, Oh, wait, hold on, Craig. What are you saying? Because it's in my brain, I could change. Oh, boy. I would, I don't want to walk out on this interview. So could we finish the interview, please? So I was saying, Craig, let's just stick with this. This is supposed to be, this is a puff piece, by the way. This is about I'm the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. I expect some decorum, or so, dignity and respect, Craig. Oh, it is Greg. Oh, a figment. Sorry about that, Greg. It's Greg. Okay, it's like great. It's not Craig or Greg. It's Greg. Greg. Like Greg. Just, okay. So I thought, if I could take these Brainbots' mind off, I can't stop the ride. Can't get the Brainbot off the ride. And so that's when I started to do it. And then at some point I did get a kazoo. And then at some point the kazoo was taken from, that was short, but I did buy a lifetime supply of wax paper because I thought I was going to get a lot of mileage out of that kazoo. And I guess that was what I thought was humor. Like I thought kazoo comedy, like kazoo comedy. But that didn't work, even for Brainbots. And you don't have a lot of time on that. And then I did a lot of walking backwards and falling down, so I do have permanent tailbone, imprints on my butt, and then but that was where it all started. Actually, Craig, Greg, if you want to talk about the moment where lightning struck, it was really where my butt struck the stairs, which have that like non-slip diamond pattern where you can see through. Which, first of all, I said, what are you doing with the stairs you could see through here? Not a great idea. But yeah, that once that diamond pattern got imprinted, oh, did the Brainbots laugh at that? Why didn't I have pants on? At times I was dreaming, Greg. So this was, you know how things can be. But yeah, once that diamond pattern was shining bright like a diamond on my bright buns, I think maybe that's why I was Brainbot Entertainer of the Year 2014, even though I don't even know what year this occurred, to be honest with you. So I guess that's it, Craig. Greg, that's a great interview. Any other questions about why or how I became Brainbot Entertainer of the Year? Every year the award's been given that I know of. Oh, Craig, you make me feel like I'm doing a Google EDU on air with these questions. What advice would I give to an up-and-coming Brainbot entertainer? I think I do. Let's see. What would, is this one of these ones, a letter to my younger Brainbot entertainer self? Because that'd be better for my ego. No, something actually concrete for people that are coming up in the Brainbot entertainment space. I don't know. To be honest, I'd say watch out for me because I'm not. I'm not a. Do you think anybody's any good, Craig? Do you think they're going to take away my Brainbot Entertainer of the Year award? Because I could tell them that it doesn't come with any monetary awards or physical awards, actually, believe it or not. Within my brain, it's gigantic, though. So, yeah, you're right. That's not the. Yeah, that's hilarious and true. Well, yeah, you really got me there, Greg. Yeah, you got me stumped. But yeah, what advice would I give to an up-and-coming Brainbot entertainer? A human being or brain? I'd say be a Brainbot. If you want to be a Brainbot, I'd say within the Brainbot community, I'd say shrink down and become a Brainbot, and stay. Then be entertained by me, and then entertain the Brainbots. So then you could be Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. Like there could be 2 awards then. So you could be an upcoming Brainbot entertainer. That's what I think you should do. If you're thinking about doing this, is just do it as a Brainbot. Then there's room for both of us. You could be Brainbot Entertainer of the Year because you're a Brainbot and an entertainer. That's a separate award. I'm Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. Do you see how it's Brainbot Entertainer of the Year? That's I think that might be a whole award show. That would be pretty good. Where I'm Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. And then you could be an up-and-coming Brainbot entertainer. And you wouldn't even have you wouldn't even have to entertain. Then that would be a great place to hone your craft because if you're a Brainbot and you're entertaining, you don't even have to entertain anyone because you're a Brainbot entertainer. I mean, that would be a tree falls in the woods, but I guess that's, I would be entertained by you. So there. And I think that would be a good movement to start is to get the just get one Brainbot that starts doing a funky dance. Because then when people are lying there or they're sitting at their desk and the Brainbots are all Twitter and, about the troves of Twitter saying, look at that on Facebook with it's my sister. Holy, you could roll out there Be like, don't do the Cantina song because that's one of, I'm not supposed to do any songs on the podcast. And, you could do, you're welcome to any, if you could come up with any BB-88 jokes or BB-8, but BB-88's better. It just has that extra syllable. Go for it. And I would love that. I would hire a Brainbot entertainer. And I don't know if I've seen Neil Diamond, because there's Neil Simon, there's Neil Young, and there's Neil Diamond. How about a Three Neils tour? Or the Three Neils. There was like, was it the 90s when they had the three tenors? But the Three Neils, Neil Armstrong, but those are entertainers or like a writer of entertainment. But Neil Diamond, I believe, was in a movie called The Entertainer. I think, I don't know. I used to go see this band called Super Diamond. I think it was an Australian man, looked nothing like Neil Diamond, sang just like him, very entertaining. No, couldn't even be in a Brainbots. If you put Super Diamond in your brain, you'd be that would be too much. But yeah, I mean, I would say if you're not becoming Brainbot entertainer, good for you. If you're a Brainbot. Now, if you're a human, oof, I don't know. I don't know what advice I would give you. Because, I don't know. But okay, let me talk about other Brainbot. Let's just get it out there. Let's talk about the other Brainbot entertainers that have been up for the award. And let me step outside my role as the, multiple awarded Brainbot entertainer of the year, Scooter, Sleep With Me podcast, and step into the role of the creator of the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year award and talk about some of the other people that were up for the award. There's a couple big ones. There was Trentham, which was a one-name entertainer, and this was the first few years since the award was invented. We do have you're disqualified if you have one name. Just because, I don't want to throw out the E word, but it is a little elitist, I guess, when you have one name, or assumist, say, well, I only need one name. Say, whoa. If you want to be in the Brainbot Entertainment of the Year, if you want to get this award, you're going to need two names. And they say, well, actually, I have two. No, I said, sorry, this is a one-time only deal. So that was the end of Trentham, who was really good at, maybe not the best, but really good at entertaining Brainbots. And in a different way, like throat singing. The Trentham did throat singing, contortionism while throat singing, which the Brainbots, they would always they would do that quivering thing. Like just picture BB-88 quivering, with, when you quiver, when you watch a contortionist, you usually quiver at some point. You say, whoa. Because you say, and you can't even tell. A quiver, you can't, it's a combination of pleasure and repulsion, I think. Or discomfort. So that was Trentham. Then another one, Coldplay, that they threw their name in the hat. That was easy because they said, well, you're already, don't you have enough? I said, this award's for Sad Small, this, I said, don't you have, and then they said, what about the main guy? And I said, well, if you have any offspring that have one name, like a fruit, I said, don't you have a kid named Apple? I'm sorry. I said, you were great in that Game of Thrones thing with the red note. That was awesome. But I'm sorry, And then one of the other Coldplay guys said, well, what about me, man? And I said, well, don't you have like a boatload of money? And don't you get to tour? I said, no, this is my, I said, Brainbot, I said, you can't be an entertainer first and then a Brainbot entertainer second. I said, I said, that's in the Brainbot. Do you know the Brainbot entertainer's code? And then they said, no. I said, well, there you go. That's a disqualified. I mean, I guess at the time, they should have probably thought about collaborating or saying, hey, Coldplay, could you play at the Brainbot, Entertainer of the Year Awards? Maybe come up with a song when I get my award. Maybe talk about it on every tour date and, public appearances. And then maybe we could revisit this decision in 2017 or 2018, more likely. So that was Coldplay. Then this was a little bit of a joker because it was a Mama 2016, MA 2016. It was a robot or it wasn't a robot. It was artificial intelligence. They freaking called me. And I said, I don't take call. I don't want call. I don't like calls. I don't like answering the phone. And I just went through this with and I said, that's why I gave you my that extra Google Voice number. So I could just let it go to voicemail and never check. I don't check, if Publisher Sweepstakes called me, I don't think I would even check the voice. And so I said, if you leave a voicemail, and they said, the robot it said, well, this is important. And I said, well, this is important enough, then put it in some sort. And they said, well, I can only communicate by voice. And I said, well, that's a shame because you're disqualified from the awards then. Also, a bot, like Brainbot entertainer, a bot. I said, why can't you be the brain? I said, maybe we could come up with an alternative award for you. I said, give me some of your material. And then it just started doing pie to it just kept saying numbers. I said, that's not entertaining enough. Then it started singing pie numbers. And I said, well, that's decent. And then it was strangely hypnotic. I don't know any of the numbers in pi other than 3.14, so. But it was, it wasn't bad. And I think I went into a trance for a few weeks. And, all my passwords were changed, maybe, or maybe I forgot some of them. I said, I can't even log into this thing. I said, and for a while, I did know pi to at least the 8th decimal because of that song. But I said, I'm afraid, it still goes, we can't just give awards to anybody. Especially, so that was another person that didn't, or, entity, I believe, that didn't make it. And then, I started I wanted to do a nationwide search, well, I didn't actually. I want to do a nationwide I don't need anybody knowing about Brainbot Entertainer of the Year at all. But at the time, I was talking to Nation TV3, one of those big national stations, and in New Zealand, because they said, well, if this is, I said to people, they said, yeah, of course people go, they travel. I said, well, I said, does the word get out here? And then I think they thought I was making double entendres. But because I said, well, let's do a talent search for Brainbot. And then I said, no, I don't want to do that. And actually, unfortunately, I started the process. Now, the good news is, I got to, things started climbing, and they said, well, what, so you're going to pitch us on this kind of Star Search show? And I said, I was, but I said, I can't, I was sitting in the waiting room, I was thinking of this story I heard about the Dubai Sevens. And they said, oh, the big tourney. They said, oh, yeah, the big turn. No. This is the Dubai Sevens. It's a team. Dubai Sevens is an undercover team pretending to be Brainbot entertainers, led by, to say dashing would be to make dancer cry. Do you recall the most famous Brainbot entertainer of all was this, and that's the lead in Dubai Sevens, a TV show. And then 6 more, lesser Brainbot entertainers undercover. They're not even real Brainbot. So we would need to cast those 6 roles with people that could pretend, that aren't actual, that they're like the second best to, well, actually, I said it was Coldplay. And then, so I say the 4th, the 6th, 7th, the best Brainbot entertainers. And we'll travel in a jet, oil powered, of course. Fuel, why would we be the Dubai Sevens if why not? And we'll travel the world in search of brainbot related, brainbot related, BRDs, brainbot related difficulties. And we'll entertain our way out of it. And then, like a variety show with start, so exactly like you said, in the holidays, we'll do some Kiwi Christmas music here. Oh, thank you, Greg. So you want to get me refocused. Okay, so where do I see Brainbot entertaining going? Well, ideally, it just stays right here in this tiny little closet, in this small, but if it has to escape, I'd like to, I got I don't know, Greg, it's one of those things I'm afraid to let the balloon fly, if you will. Not sure if that knot on my wrist is going to hold it. But I also know that one day the balloon, the hydrogen or whatever is in those balloons, helium, I'll wake up and my balloon will be sagging. Or worse, not, popped. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the future of Brainbot entertainment, as you asked me. So I was thinking of, if we're thinking big, Greg, I was thinking about spreading the like especially other than myself, since I'm Brainbot Entertainer of the Year, we got to keep me here, Brainbot Central. But I've been thinking nonstop about those up and coming Brainbot entertainers you were talking about. And I think we should make a circuit for them, for them to hone their craft, like where they're with the contract, ironclad contracts, maybe 10-year commitment, maybe 15-year circuit where they're, because that's how long it's going to take them to get those 10,000 focus hours, Greg, I've never had to say a Figment's name that many times. So I was thinking, I think there's a lot of rallies, like a Silver Fern rally I've heard of, and there's other ones way out in the middle of nowhere where they drive these cars in these boot buggies, maybe the Iditarod. The more remote, the better, because that's where my craft got honed, is at the, largest Brainbot theme park in the world. But in this case, we'll get them out there with humans, because you figure if you're driving some sort of buggy across the back roads of New Zealand, it can be exciting at moments, and the driver has to be focused at all times. Except for every once in a while, like there might be some sort of delay, and then they're way out there. Or maybe now we change the way that racing goes. So there's 2 drivers, that switch on and off. Maybe they already do that. And we get some entertainment out there, way out there, like the furthest reaches of the racetrack, to do things like I did, like dance, kazoos, maybe just kazoos. My voice sounds a bit like a kazoo. Yeah, thank you. Have I swallowed? Well, what do I do? If I swallowed too many kazoos. But we'll get them out there, way out there, under contract, and we'll say, okay, well, and then we'll take you to the Iditarod. Marathons, no, too many people do marathons, Greg. So, and those are more contained, if it was like one of those super long, one of those 100-miler ones, yeah, we could do that. If it's, the remote one, very remote. And then we'll find all of these up and coming Brainbot, and, we'll get them out there where they can be of most service to people out on the extreme edges, needing a little 4 or 5 seconds entertainment. Just like a brainbot, they'll be a living metaphor because they'll be entertaining humans. And, that'll help them become, within their contract. And then, also, when you do that thing with the contract, we have it where the non-compete clause, maybe just 10 years after the contract. What else do I see for Brainbot Entertainment? Well, it's great. Like more PR, is that what you said? Well, I mean, I guess we could start a daily blog where, I've heard of guest blogging, and that's one thing I've heard of. But what about taking, and what I mean by that, Greg, is we get all these entertainers, these up-and-coming Brainbot entertainers, trying to get their mitts on Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. And they start writing blog articles, and again, this will be, that Brainbot, Brainbot, Brainbot Intercore, or, pending, we'll have the full rights to that. But those blogs, so I'll take credit on the blog, that way, if it's controversial, maybe we won't print it. But if it's good, they don't have to worry about the pressures of credit and stuff, because they're just honing their craft, up and coming, paying their dues. And they could do that, and I could take credit, and then I would also own that material if I need to develop it at a later date. What else? I was thinking also, I was thinking about hollowing out, there's been different stories where I've had hollowed out mountains like Mount Roskill. And I was thinking if we could also get all the potential Brainbot entertainers that aren't under contract and that are up and coming. And we could say within that mountain is where the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year, that's the secret. We could have it like the Magic Castle and be like, oh, if you want to be, that's the spot to do it. Are you an up and coming Brainbot Entertainer of the Year? Are you even curious about entertaining brainbots? Have you thought about it for more than 1 second? Come to Mount Roskill. It's just like the Catskills, just the same thing, except deep in New Zealand inside a mountain. Come on in and stay for a while. And then maybe if as you, get used to living in a bunk and not, just doing these, busy chores will give you that are essential. Maybe packaging stuff. I don't know. We'll figure that part out. That then you'll become eventually you'll become a Brainbot entertainer within the mountain. Because maybe we could even create physical brainbots for them to entertain and bring them there. Yeah, that's it. There's their answer. So they just go into the mountain. We keep bringing brainbots, which we could just buy. Tell you what, I'll give you a bunch of money. I'll tell you what, I'll give you my credit. Do you have any credit cards, Greg? No. Okay. I was thinking we could buy a bunch of remote controlled things and just put them in there. How much does it cost to hollow out a mountain? This is all okay. So perfect. It's doable then if it's in my mind. And then we'll just get them all in there. We'll have little remote control things. We'll put in a fake nightclub. Club Brainbot. There you go. And we could have a frowny face and a smiley face. Great. This is great. We are quite a team. And I think because you seem to have a lot of questions about it, Greg. I think you're the person to run it, to be honest. I don't think I could do it. With the probing questions you ask, you could do the interviews. You could hand out the grades. You'd be like the dean and the admissions board and the nightclub manager. How's that sound? Would you get to decide on Brainbot Entertainer of the Year? Yeah, within the mountain. Yeah, the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year, right in there, of course. And we just get everybody in there with you, and that'll be it. That sounds wonderful. And then everybody can forget about this, other than when they hear about the announcement about me winning Brainbot Entertainer of the Year. And they say, oh, thank goodness, I didn't want to listen to a podcast made by an up-and-coming Brainbot entertainer. Yeah, you could have podcasts inside the mountain, of course, Greg. That's a great idea. Great idea. Because, that's a good way to, it's a very time. I think you're brilliant. I'll be honest with you. You could have, could you come up with the, whatever they call that, the curriculum for that as well? That'd be your job as dean, I believe. Maybe maybe Coldplay and that computer and the other person, they could be your staff. Well, great. This has just been a great interview. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode of Behind the Brainbot Awards. And remember, if you're thinking about a career like in Brainbot Entertainment, it is a wide open field. And I mean wide, the doors of Mount Roskill are wide open for you. Come on in. Now, you've heard of for-profit universities, right? And you've heard of nonprofit universities and the high cost of student debt. You've heard of getting out of school and not having a job. Well, come to Brainbot University. And, it's the only place on earth for Brainbot entertainers, up and coming or, curious. You say, well, I'm Brainbot curious. They'd say, well, what do you mean when you say that? Do you mean Brainbot entertainment? Do you mean curious, like into, because we got to parse the words here. Like, are you curious about Brainbot entertainers or Brainbot curious or Brainbot entertainer curious? Okay, that killed it, huh? Well, any of those things, you could come to our university. Here's the thing, no charge. Guaranteed job on graduation within the Mount Roskill facility, which is the preeminent research facility for Brainbot Entertainment. It has all of the top Brainbot entertainers, founded by the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year 2014, 2015, 2016. It has the top Brainbot club, entertainment club in the world. It's the only facility of its kind. So, get over, just come on in and let the doors close behind you. They'll open up when the next person comes, but they're special kind of one-way door because there's only one way to the top of Brainbot Entertainment. And you could take it from me. I mean, I started the ascent that would end up in the Brainbot University, Brainbot Entertainment, BEU, Brainbot Entertainer U. BEU, that's what we call it around here. I started this journey at the side of a Brainbot roller coaster. And it was a hard time, ended up with diamonds on my butt. And, I'm going to save you the time of doing that, and I'll just introduce you to a luxury place, a pre-ski, like that, but on the inside. On the outside, people will be pre-skiing, maybe. But you'll be entertaining Brainbots. You won't even be, you'll have arrived. Instead of, like, when you're lying in your bunk, instead of being like, am I an up-and-coming Brainbot entertainer, you'll know, why am I here within this mountain to entertain Brainbots? So thank you, everybody. On behalf of the staff at BU, on behalf of everyone here at the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year Awards, on behalf of the winner of the Brainbot Entertainer of the Year Awards, me, and all the figments of my imagination, I'd like to thank you for your time this evening. Good night. All right, everybody, this is Scoots tucking you in. If you're hearing this message and you're a patron or you're not a patron, you do not want to be missing out on the subscriber summer. We're putting out a ton of extra content for subscribers as a way of celebrating and trying to find new ways to keep the show going for everybody and keep it free for everybody, which is a bit ironic, but without support, we can't keep the show free for everybody. So, that's part of subscriber summer. But if you don't have your patron content set up or you're not a patron, you're missing out on it. And I know that
only 1/3 of our patrons listen to the bonus content, and it's so easy to set up. You're already listening to this message in a podcast app. And if you become a patron, you could do this and you could just follow along. It's just 4 simple steps. You take your phone. You already have a podcast app. If you don't already have a podcast app, you use Pocket Cast is a great one, or to just listen to bonus content in exclusively. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron feed, PATRONFEED. And that'll bring you to a page where you log into your Patreon account. Then it'll bring you to a page where it'll say Acast for Patreon. You'll click allow. That's how to connect the bonus content to your podcast app. It'll verify you're a patron, and then it'll bring up a list of podcast apps. Pick your app from the list, or if you downloaded Pocket Casts, pick Pocket Casts from the list. Give it a few minutes to load, because especially if you're a $10 or $20 patron, there's like 2,000 episodes in the feeds, but give it a few minutes to load, and then click follow or subscribe, and you're good to go. So sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron feed, log into your Patreon account, click allow, and pick your podcast app from the list, and you'll be getting all that sweet, sweet summer. And in addition, the rest of the year, we put out tons of bonus content. And $10 and $20 patrons also get all intro episodes. All patrons get story-only episodes, special edition episodes. $10 and $20 patrons get all-night episodes. So don't miss out. You were going to want to be a part of Subscriber Summers. Thanks, everybody.